Okay, so I just wanted to go over a little bit more of actually the cost of tarps and my experience, how I came across the tarps that I have. I was looking at tarps. You guys know I'm in Southern California, so I was looking at tarps to buy here in California, and the cost of the two tarps that I was looking at that size and weight were going to cost me like $800 brand new. And I mean, that's a lot of money, you know? So I actually, at the time I was shopping for tarps, I was planning my trip to go pick up my trailer, which I purchased in Texas. So I thought, well, I'll just look in Texas for tarps, right? So I did a quick search. I did find tarps in Texas at about $200 cheaper than California for the same thing. And so I was just planning on purchasing the tarps there in Texas when I picked up my trailer. That being said, on the way to pick up my trailer, I happened to stop at like a big rig trailer. It might have been just like a storage yard, like a parking yard for big rigs. But they had an annual cert. I needed an annual cert for my brand new trailer. That document, I needed that document, and they happened to have them. So I was going to stop at this place to just pick up this document. Well, I stopped at this trailer parking place or trailer rental place. I don't even know where it was or the name of it anymore. And I went to pick up my annual inspection, and they happened to have like a whole bunch of big rig flatbed load securement and two tarps in the corner, and there was a sign there that said for sale, $950, right? And then the $950 was crossed out, and then they put $750. And I asked the guy about the tarps. I was like, hey, you know, what size are those tarps? And he was like, I'm like, what are you doing with this stuff, you know? And he's like, you know what? It was just stuff that we cleared out of a trailer, and they're just trying to get rid of it. They just want to sell it. And he's like, honestly, it's been there for a while. If you just made me an offer, I could probably get you whatever price you wanted. And I asked him, I was like, well, what size are these tarps? We rolled them out. They were 20 by 24 footers with an 8-foot drop, and they were very heavy. So they were actually exactly what I was looking for. And then there was two plastic totes full of like flatbed load securement, 4-inch straps, ratchets, chain binders, cover, edge protectors, corner protectors, whatever, coil braces, all kinds of stuff that I didn't need, but I wanted the tarps. And I just kind of looked at it and I was like, hey, I'll give you $500 cash, no tax, for all of that if you want. And he was like, done, deal, sold. And so, long story short, I got my tarps that I wanted for $500 plus a bunch of other load securement that I sold later on because they're too big for what I need. And I got them for $500. So that being said, you guys, if you are looking at purchasing tarps, you might want to look into searching for used tarps for sale. Check OfferUp, check Craigslist, call around to maybe some different flatbed companies that maybe they rotate their tarps and they got some old ones laying around. And that's another thing. Tarp repair. Tarps rip, they tear. Light duty tarps are going to rip and tear a lot more often than heavy duty tarps. So they're going to require more repairs, right? Light duty tarps are very nice because they make your job of tarping very easy. However, keep in mind that once you start going down the highway, that light duty tarp is really, really, really gonna, the wind is gonna play with that tarp a lot more than a heavier duty tarp. So it's gonna flap a lot going down the highway. This may be a distraction for you if you're looking in your rearview mirrors, and it may be a distraction for those who are driving around you as well. So just keep that in mind, that if you do go with light duty tarps, make sure you have a ton of bungees that you can make sure that you strap that thing down really well so that it's not flapping in the wind once you get on the highway. And also, tarp repair is not cheap. Again, I'm in California. I was quoted $150 to make the pieces of tarp that I had cut to make them more of what I wanted. So I added the nylon stripping and the D-rings in different places on the pieces of tarp. And there were a couple tears that needed to be repaired as well. And I was quoted $150. So it's not cheap to repair them, but it's possible to customize them, you know, at a later date. If you purchase a tarp that maybe you have an idea to make it better suited for your application, you can always get them repaired or changed or fixed or whatever. Also, another suggestion, you guys, I purchased a ton of bungees and different length of bungees. I would suggest doing the same thing. It's better to have more bungees and not need them than not enough bungees and then you have flapping in the wind, and that's a distraction. So a lot of bungees. And what I did later, after I had started utilizing my tarps, I realized that moving blankets would probably really help my situation. So I purchased a dozen moving blankets, and they were not expensive, and I just keep them in the truck. And anytime I have to tarp a load, I'll throw a moving blanket over the load if it has sharp edges or if it's steel or metal of some type with sharp edges. I just throw the moving blanket over, and then I throw my tarp over, and then I can pull my tarp if I have to pull it towards the driver's side or the passenger side, or pull it forward or backwards. I can pull it, and I'm not worried about ripping my tarp because the tarp is going to slide really easily on the moving blanket, and so I don't have to jump back up onto my trailer and climb the load in order to adjust my tarp. I can just pull it from the ground and adjust it that way. And so the tarp slides really nicely on the moving blanket, and it also ensures that I'm not going to rip my tarp on any sharp edges of the freight that I'm tarping. So that is what I have for you guys in regards to tarping.